My stepdaughter once told me I should be grateful just to sit in the audience at her wedding. So, instead of watching her walk down the aisle, I sat in front of my computer, pulled up my bank account, and canceled every single transfer I had lined up. Her real dad got to walk her down that aisle. And me? I let him because this time I wasn't footing the bill. The guests noticed pretty quick something was off. Now, before I get into it, let me back up. My name's Marcus, I'm 54 years old, and I've been with my partner, Evelyn, for going on 17 years. We never made it official with marriage, but we've lived like husband and wife all this time. Splitting bills, building memories, going through the ups and downs together. And more importantly, I helped raise her daughter, Harper, since she was 10 years old. And when I say raise, I don't mean I showed up once in a while. I mean I raised her. I was the one running beside her as she wobbled on her bike, bleeding knees and all, until she finally got the hang of it. I sat through every single parent-teacher conference when her grades started slipping. I hauled myself out of bed at 5:30 a.m. on Saturdays to get her to soccer practice for 4 straight years. I held her hair back when she was sick after prom, co-signed the loan for her first car, and I'm the guy who paid every dime of her college tuition. All 4 years, plus the summer she studied abroad in Italy. That little adventure set me back another $8,000. I loved that girl like she was my own flesh and blood. Even when she tested me, rolling her eyes, bringing home boyfriends I couldn't stand, I never let her feel like she was missing a father. Meanwhile, her biological dad, Victor, might as well have been a ghost. The man would pop up every now and then with a late birthday card or a half-hearted Christmas call, if he remembered. He never once paid child support, never showed his face at a single school event. And yet, in Harper's eyes, he was this mysterious, tragic figure who just couldn't be around because life was complicated. And me? I was just the guy who kept the lights on, fixed her car, and wrote the checks. But I never made it about me. I figured, when the chips were down, she'd see who had really been there for her all along. Boy, was I wrong. Fast forward to last year, Harper gets engaged to a nice kid named Julian. Works at a bank, treats her well. When she broke the news, she was practically bouncing off the walls with excitement. I remember thinking, man, I can't believe my little girl's getting married. It didn't even feel real. From that moment on, it was full-throttle designer dress shopping, picking venues, endless cake tastings. And every time the topic of money came up, they came straight to me. Not Victor, me. Marcus, can you cover the venue deposit? It's $15,000. Of course, sweetheart. Marcus, the photographer needs $8,000 up front. No problem. Marcus, we found the florist, but they want full payment in advance. Consider it done. I wasn't just throwing money at this wedding. I was in it. I helped pick the venue. I forced down 17 different slices of cake until I was sick of buttercream. I even drove 2 hours out of town to look at some farm they were thinking about for the reception. This was my daughter's wedding, and I wanted it to be everything she dreamed of. By the time 6 months rolled by, I had shelled out close to $58,000. On top of the $6,000 I dropped hosting the engagement party at our house. But hey, that's what fathers do, right? Then came the gut punch. About 6 weeks before the big day, we were doing the final walkthrough at the venue. Harper's flipping through her checklist with the planner when she casually says, "Oh, and make sure Victor's boutonniere matches mine. He's walking me down the aisle." I thought I misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" She gave me this look, like I was slow. "Victor's walking me down the aisle." I thought I mentioned that. The poor wedding planner looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. She mumbled something about checking on the sound system and slipped out. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Harper, I assumed I'd be the one walking you down the aisle." She actually laughed. "Marcus, come on. Victor's my real father. It just makes more sense." There it was. Real father. After 17 years of raising her, I was still just the guy who paid the bills. And then she twisted the knife. "Besides, you should be grateful you're even invited to sit in the audience. A lot of stepdads don't even get that. Grateful to sit in the audience. Like I was some distant uncle who got tossed a pity invite." I just nodded and smiled. But inside, something broke. That night I couldn't sleep. Every bedtime story, every time I skipped golf to make it to her games, every check I'd written. It all came back to me and it all felt worthless. The next morning I called Victor. "Hey Victor, it's Marcus." He sounded surprised. We'd maybe spoken 5 times in 17 years. "Oh hey. So, "You're walking Harper down the aisle?" I asked. "Yeah, she asked me. Pretty excited about it." "Great. Just curious. Are you planning to contribute anything financially?" Silence. "I mean, since you're the real father and all, I figured you might want to help cover some of the wedding costs." He cleared his throat. I'm kind of tight right now, you know?" "Well," I said, "just so you know, I've covered about 64,000 so far. If you want to chip in for the father-daughter dance song, or maybe the rehearsal dinner." More silence. "Look, Marcus, I appreciate everything you've done, but you're the real father." "Got it." I hung up. 2 weeks later, we had the final family dinner before the wedding. Harper stood up to give a toast. She thanked Julian's parents for welcoming her. She thanked her mom for being her best friend. She thanked Victor for making the trip to walk her down the aisle. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, waiting for my name. Nothing. Not even a quick "Thanks to Marcus for helping make this all possible." Radio silence. When I got home, I went straight to my office, stared at my computer screen for an hour, then opened up my banking app. Every vendor who still had a balance due, I called and canceled. Every scheduled transfer I terminated. The $22,000 still pending for the week of the wedding? Gone. What Harper didn't realize is that most wedding vendors want their final payments a week or so in advance. And if you don't pay, they don't show. I didn't say a word to anyone. I just waited. 3 days before the wedding, Evelyn called me in a panic. "Marcus, there's a problem. The caterer said the final payment was declined." "Huh, that's strange," I said. "Marcus, did you cancel the payment?" "Yes, I did." "What? Why?" "Because I was told I should be grateful to sit in the audience. So, I decided to be grateful from the bank instead." The blow-up was instant, screaming, crying, accusations flying left and right. Harper called me up, cussed me out, said I was ruining her wedding just to be spiteful. Kept my cool. "Harper, your real father is the one walking you down the aisle. Maybe your real father can cover the real bills, too." And then I hung up. The next couple of days were pure chaos, but not for me. I was having the time of my life. My phone never stopped buzzing with frantic calls and desperate texts. Julian's parents tried to step in, but they'd already drained their savings just flying their whole family out from Oregon. And Victor? He vanished, turned his phone off, disappeared like smoke. On the morning of the wedding, I put on my best suit, but I wasn't going to sit in the pews. Nope. I parked across the street and watched the whole thing unfold. By 2 o'clock, when the ceremony was supposed to start, guests were still wandering around looking confused. The florist showed up with a bare-bones setup. Looked like flowers they grabbed from the grocery store clearance bin. The DJ never even bothered to come, so they were blasting music off someone's iPhone through a little Bluetooth speaker. The photographer was there, but he kept pacing around and checking his phone like he was waiting to get paid. 2:30, Victor finally rolled in, looking completely lost. I sat in my car watching as people cornered him one after another. I could imagine the conversations. "Are you paying for the bar? The caterer says they won't serve until they're paid. The limo driver needs his money." Victor looked like he was ready to melt into the pavement. By 3 o'clock, they finally started the ceremony. I'll admit, seeing Victor walk Harper down that aisle was something. But the man looked miserable. His smile was tight. His shirt already had sweat marks spreading across it. During the vows, I could see the guests glancing around, whispering. The flowers were limp, the music kept glitching, and before long the photographer was gone. Packed up after not seeing a dime. But the real disaster came at the reception. The caterer slashed the menu down to sandwich trays and sheet cake from the supermarket. The bar ran out of booze in less than an hour because only half the order had been delivered. With no DJ, there was no father-daughter dance, no first dance, no music for the party at all. One by one, people started bailing. By 7, half the guests had left. Around 8, I spotted Victor outside, pacing with his phone pressed to his ear, looking like he wanted to crawl under a rock. I drove home, poured myself a bourbon, and waited. Sure enough, at 10 o'clock, the call came. It was Julian. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I mean, I knew you helped with money, but I didn't understand how much. Harper told me you were just her stepdad. But after tonight, after talking to her family, I realized you were her real dad. And we screwed up bad." I appreciated the words, but I didn't respond. The fallout over the next few days was something to behold. Evelyn packed a bag and stayed with her sister. Harper sent me a 10-page letter about how I'd humiliated her, ruined her wedding, and shown my true colors. I tossed it in the fireplace after skimming the first few lines. Then came the moment that made it all worth it. 2 weeks later, I ran into Mrs. Caldwell from down the street. She'd been at the wedding. She pulled me aside. "Marcus, everyone knew." "Knew what?" I asked. "What you'd done for that girl. How she treated you. People were whispering about it all night." Victor looked like he wanted to disappear. By the end, he was even telling people he hadn't realized how much you'd contributed, and he admitted he felt awful about it. She paused and said, "Honestly, folks respected you for what you did, standing up for yourself like that. Nobody blamed you." 3 weeks later, Victor himself called me. "Marcus, I owe you an apology. I had no idea. Harper made it sound like you were just some guy her mom dated. I didn't know you raised her. I didn't know about the money, the years, everything. I feel like a jerk." "You should," I told him, and I hung up. Last month, Julian reached out again. Apparently, he and Harper had been fighting ever since. He started asking about her childhood, digging into who was actually there for her. And the more he learned, the more uncomfortable he got. "She keeps saying you overreacted," he told me. "But Marcus, I've done the math. You spent more on our wedding than my parents spent on their house down payment. And she treated you like a hired hand. I don't blame you one bit." Harper hasn't spoken a word to me since that day. Evelyn and I are in counseling, trying to sort through the wreckage. Some days are good, some are rough. But here's the thing, I sleep just fine at night. For the first time in years, I'm not sitting up wondering if I mattered or if my sacrifices meant anything. Now I know exactly where I stood. And I acted accordingly. And the cherry on top. Word got back to me that Victor has already ghosted again. Not a single call to Harper since the wedding. When she tried to thank him and talk about rebuilding their relationship, he told her flat out, "I'm glad I could help with the wedding, but I'm not looking for a father-daughter thing." And that's the man she called her real father. So I'll throw it to you. Was I the jerk for pulling my financial support after being told I should be grateful just to sit in the audience? Or would you have done the same thing after pouring 17 years and 60 grand into raising someone, only to be treated like a wedding crasher? Drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'm honestly curious. Thanks for listening.